Yes. Hello, what's going on? Rich here. Today we have the draft. We're drafting for Tahoe. So if you've seen some of the previous videos and the previous podcasts, you kind of know the deal. But Brakken Kraker, Jack Bauer, and I, we're going to go through, talk about a bunch of different athletes who are racing Tahoe. We're going to draft specific teams to talk about why we drafted these particular athletes. Awesome, fun time. We go pretty long. The draft itself took about an hour, so I know it's a bit of a long video. But you can also catch the full podcast version, which is about an hour and change longer, where we talk about the previous race and we talk a little bit about OCR World Championships as well. So if audio is more your thing, check out the link down in the description to hear the entire episode. But this is just a draft piece. I hope you enjoy it. Let's do it. So Brakken, you're on the clock.
I have not yet been disappointed by this family anytime I've chosen them. So Ryan Atkins is the only representative of his clan, and so I choose him.
I think this is the only sure thing in this race.
Yeah, he's been second place at every single time he's ever run this course, except maybe one third.
1 year. Yeah.
1/4. So and that's at a world championship. None of the people who have ever beat him at this course are at this race. And so can crazy things happen? Yes. But it would be the craziest thing of all if he didn't win. And he's better than he was in years past, I believe. His running, his climbing, I believe it's better.
It's very impressive in West Virginia, the way he's able to kind of pace that out and really kind of pour it on, and a complete controlled effort. Like, it's undeniable, like, that his fitness is here and that he's going to be hungry for this. I think it's a good pick. Pick. But do we want to talk about who's not going to be here? Because it is just it's going to be super split, because it's same as OCR WC. Just for those listening so we have some idea of why we're not picking some people. Jack, do you have a list of who's at OCR
I've got a
WC right there?
List. I mean, just looking third place at West Virginia, you're not going to have Tyler Veerman. You're not going to have VJ Jones, Ryan Kempson, Logan Broadbent on the men's side. Women's side, the obvious one is Lindsay Webster. She won't be there. So there's some serious talent. I've got the rest of the list real quick. So also showing Rose Wetzel, Chris Rogloski, for the women's side will not be there. Ian Hosick, he's always done well at Tahoe. Mm-hmm. He's going to be at OCR World. So
that's a big shock to me.
A bunch of people. Yeah.
I agree. And Ian, he made a post about it. He's like, it would probably make more sense for me to go to Tahoe, but I just want to go to OCRWC. It's like,
feels political to me.
You think it's making a statement?
I do. I don't disapprove.
I think it's appropriate. I think it's an appropriate thing to let the organization know. It's like, hey, you're not the only game in town.
Yeah.
All right.
So who's playing for second today? Jack, you up?
I'm picking second, not playing for second. I'm gonna go Annie Doobie.
Oh man,
that's the next sure thing. Which is funny because we don't have historical data on her to call her a sure thing yet, but she's the next sure thing in this race.
Yeah, I don't know. I what we've seen all year, I can't say that that's a bad pick at all.
No.
Coming off of, the best race, the closest race is Utah, right, to this, and she was clearly in second. Her and Rose, like, the time disparity was different because Rose was burping out at Helix, which was like the last obstacle. Mm-hmm. So it looked like Annie beat her by a couple minutes, but it was like right neck and neck with Rose at the end. But the next person back was Alex, and she was really far back. So it was like Annie was clear cut second for the people who were at this field.
So I did write a different article on women to watch for this upcoming year, and Annie was one of them, and she was 8th place about an hour 20 into the race, and then she DNF'd because of the swim. Mm-hmm. So clearly can hang on this course for a while. You can't fake being 8th place that late into the race, and she's a much better athlete now versus 2 years ago.
Yeah, and she's been hanging in Utah the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so. So she's been kind of training at altitude to kind of get acclimated for it. So,
yep,
good pick. I'm surprised. Shoot. I have not had her. I've not had her on my team.
That's why I picked her. I was so glad you were third. I'm like, someone's going to get Annie besides Rich.
Damn it.
I had 5 people who I believe are the class of this field.
Mm-hmm.
And she was very clearly in the top 3 of that. Men and women combined, I think there's 5 standouts. And I don't know if there's a chance any of them fall to me at 6 now.
Yeah. I know who I'm picking next if either of them still exists.
Well, I'm going Woods.
Okay.
Yep. He's the next obvious choice.
Yep.
Got to go Woods here. Yeah, I have everything broken out by tiers as well for people who I think can get top 2, and they're all gone because I had Alex in that
Is this
top tier.
Is this truly the swan song for Ryan Woods?
That's what he says.
Yeah, I think he'll.
In
pop
terms
into a
of
couple
last
races.
national series that he pursues this series,
Yeah.
which means we're going to start to see a Hobie version from him where he's going to come in more trained and less raced and probably be more dangerous next year than he was this year.
Yeah.
All right, now I got to go again. Let me take.
Has he quietly had the best unappreciated career ever?
Yeah, I'd argue so. He's
Like
probably
the best to never win worlds kind
Is
of
he
thing?
is he Chris Paul? Is he the Chris Paul of OCR? Always in the mix, never quite getting there, but having
Chris Paul almost
Hall of
had it
Fame
this year
season.
Also,
Except that he's well liked.
He's well liked.
Chris Paul seems to be universally hated.
Correct.
I would much
Personality
rather see
notwithstanding.
Ryan Woods on a State Farm commercial than Chris Paul.
Would be funny? He's
Yeah.
a very funny character.
Definitely.
All right, so then I'm gonna have to go Rhea here.
All right.
She's an unknown commodity somehow at this stage of her career.
I know. Like I was looking at it, and it wasn't a sure thing for me picking her here, even though it makes the most sense. She has the most experience from everybody else that I'm looking at. But and in the women's field that is wide open, she could win. But I don't really know what kind of season she's having. She's not doing a ton of OCR races. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on all those counts.
I'm just nervous that traveling overseas, she might get a little bit of jet lag. And she has been doing a ton of climbing, though. So she's super fit like usual. But yeah, if it's a massive climbing course, Ray is a great pick.
I don't know.
All right. I'm taking an unknown commodity. I'm going Emma Cook Clark.
That's who I was between. I was really considering taking her here.
Did you see what she did? I'm assuming you saw what she did in Red Deer a couple weeks ago. Like,
yeah, I saw she won.
She was like 10 or 11 minutes behind Mick Girello. She beat Aaron Newell. We've seen how aggressive she was at Asheville. I don't think she's cleaned up her obstacle game yet. But I've just got a really good feeling on a mountain course like this that she can do some damage, especially if there's some really long uninterrupted running and she can handle the swim. So I'm taking a risk, but it could really turn out well for me.
She's a Rhea here. She's a boomer bust. She could be first or 10th.
Yeah.
No, I know her background is she's very accomplished, like cross country. Is that right? What is her pedigree when it comes to mountains?
I'm pretty sure she was on like the Canadian national running team.
Yeah, she made the
mountains?
Ultra World Championship in her first Ultra attempt.
Okay.
She can run on mountains.
No, she is a better trail runner than mountain runner in terms of technicality currently.
Right. That's what I'm like. We've seen her run well at Asheville, and then Red Deer is basically flat. It is a flat 10K course.
Now
over
Tahoe
grass.
is the tamest mountain we run on in terms of actual technicality and ruggedness.
Fire roads, and
if it were at sea level, no one would fear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's how's she going to handle altitude? That's the main obstacle.
Yep.
I would love if this course was at sea level. It'd be an awesome course. I would love it, but it's not.
Yeah. So I was going between her and Ariel. So I'll take Ariel Fitzgerald, followed up by Mark Botras.
Botras. All right, dream team off the board. Talk to us about Ariel. What are you thinking?
I see them as the same type of potential, where still a little bit unknown, very, very big ceiling in terms of running ability. And so Emma and Ariel, I think both have the ability to make a podium. Without a lot of the big dogs there, someone's going to step up, and I could see it being an Emma or an Ariel. And she is one of the people that we've interviewed.
She's been on the podcast, so she fits that criteria for who you draft.
Yep.
I'm falling back into old patterns, but
this is good for Jack and I. You're leaning back on your gut. So
yeah.
Rich, I'm loving the just go back to what you were doing before. So
Okay, what's your take on her then, Jack?
Oh, I was torn between Emma and Ariel because Ariel is a proven commodity.
Yeah.
So I think, I could have easily taken her instead of Emma. I just think top end potential. If Emma figures it out, she could win.
Yes.
But she might finish 10th. I don't think Ariel will end up beating Annie, or maybe not Alex Walker also, but you're going to get a top 5 finish out of her, in my opinion. So
Ariel was 8th at Utah, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And she has a learning curve too. Still
learning curve as well. Yeah. And like for Emma, in her case, having this be a dry course, like the obstacles aren't that hard. I mean, the beast obstacles end up being hard, but only when it's like super cold. Like if it's the Stairway to Sparta or whatever.
That's the new game changer.
Apparently.
I did it this weekend with the rock holds that are high. Mm-hmm. And I realized if you had to leap up and grab one-handed, which a lot of the women do just because they're shorter, this would be an absolute game changer, especially if it's at the top of the climb at those, what they call the soccer fields at the top there. That combined with ape hanger, it's still a tough obstacle course just because of the brutality, not necessarily the technicality.
We saw Rebecca Hammond struggle on it crazy, and she's an accomplished rock climber, and she's not tall, but she's not short.
No.
So yeah, game changer even at the top.
Yeah, that was something that we didn't talk about was the penalty loop versus burpee debate. That was something in West Virginia, which was kind of ridiculous in my opinion, where you did see Annie go up, and her grip strength was ridiculous. She did go up and grab it with one hand and then pull herself over. The rest of the girls just looked at it, did the penalty loop, and came out like at the exact same time as Annie, basically. It's like, all right, cool. So
yeah. That's a game changer at a Tahoe, because burpees are one of those things that affect you terribly at altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what basically in 2019 now, like, ruined Woods' race to miss the spear. They had the burpee pit in the mud, ruined Johnny's race, burpee pit in the mud. A lot of the women missed that, like, changed everything. So we'll see what they're going to do for that if they end up doing these inconsistent penalty loops, or what it's going to be like.
Before we move on, that new rock grip Stairway to Spartan is one of the few obstacles for the women where you have to have full muscle contraction, like use all of your strength to do it. Where their hoist, I don't think they have to put their whole strength into it. Their tire flip, they really don't have to. This is one of their sandbags aren't as heavy, but this one is harder for them than the men. And they have to really squeeze and clench and just go deeper to the well than they normally would have to. And again, at altitude, every one of those little pieces is going to rear their ugly head later in the race.
It's an interesting point, from like the fingers all the way to like their mid back with their lats. They really have to hang on.
And then you see a lot of them bring the leg all up in the air, and that's cramped city depending on where the race is. So I think that's going to be a deciding point of the race. So choosing women who have good wingspan and rock climbing is going to be important.
Yeah. Yep. So Jack, that's good for you.
Are you up? Yes, I'm up. I'm nervous.
Oh, Mark Botras, by the way, I don't want to hose him.
Oh yeah,
I'm hoping that his we got
fire engine, something, ambulance.
I'm hoping that his 2-week layoff after West Virginia caught his body back up, and all that racing is just like settling into fitness at this point, because the man can run, and he's very good at running uninterrupted. He's probably the strongest uninterrupted runner in the field, other than maybe Mark Gaudette.
Probably. And that's, his confidence is sky high. I don't think his descents are great. I think that's something that historically
much improved.
Okay.
I believe, historically it's not his strength, but if you take a look down this list, you don't see the monster descenders in this field.
No,
you see a lot. I mean, I would say
there's one descender specifically who might be the best in the sport on crazy stuff that gets overlooked, and I think that's Taylor Turney.
Okay, what I was going to say is you might have the second and third best descenders here as guys who aren't favored to go top 5. I think he actually absolutely could, which is a Joshua Reed, but him and Taylor are phenomenal downhill runners, but they're not the tip of the spear in this race on paper, at least. And so I don't know if he'll be penalized as much as other years.
Yeah.
He's going to have guys closing on him that he climbed better than him, where in the past, the guys who outclimbed him were better descenders than him.
Yeah. He's going to go for it.
All right. Well, with my pick, I might as well get it over with. I actually do trust Josh Riedinger, and I'm going 3rd round pick, for Josh.
Taking him.
I think he's going to get
Damn.
top 5. He stayed at my house in Colorado, and he ended up doing the incline in like 23:30 a couple weeks ago. And he then basically immediately started his descent. There's a segment on Strava, and he was about a minute and 15, a minute 20 behind Robert Killian when he won Tahoe. And we know how aggressive
total
he is.
round trip or just the descent?
Total round trip. Killian did it in like 40 flat. Josh was like 41 low, which is legit.
Damn it. And he's
including
been
the connector trail. So
we haven't seen him really on an obstacle course. It's probably since Tahoe in 2019, where he wasn't really necessarily training at altitude, and like he's still so new to endurance in general that
and
every
he hurt his
year,
wrist also.
He's always hurting his hands. Yeah. He'll be fine. He's never missed an obstacle in OCR like ever. Yeah. So he's gonna do great. I'm really excited for him. I can't wait to see how he does. I'm very upset that you picked him here. I really wanted him this third pick.
I saw you with back-to-back picks. I was like, he's not coming back to me. I got to get him now.
Damn it.
Yep. But he's where picking first starts hurting me.
Yeah.
Because I have groups of people I want that will not be available.
Yeah. It's like you get the cream of the crop, but then you also get the scraps later. Or
luckily, I have Alex Walker sitting at 12.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. What were we doing, Jack?
Stupid. That's why we didn't win.
That's why you're now.
I picked her like second overall one of the races, and we let her get to 12. Crazy.
That's why you're last in freaking tiebreaker. All right, I'm picking Mark Gaudette here.
Logical pick.
I have him paired with Mark Botras in my head now. So it only makes sense. It only makes sense that they get picked close to each other. Similar floor and ceiling.
Yeah,
currently,
I would agree with that.
I also have some inside info on him. He ran a cross country race at UCCS. He was like 27:40 or so for 8K at altitude, like 3 days after getting there. So he's probably in like low 26 shape at sea level.
I'm actually color me unimpressed on that time.
I thought it would be a little bit faster also.
It's at altitude. It was a week after West Virginia. He moved across the country. He hopped in for jumped in it for fun just to see.
I didn't say I could do it.
I just has a newborn baby.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't push it out.
That's true. Yeah, no, his body has zero effects afterwards. So
I just know that of all the stats I would look to for him, that wouldn't be one that would impress me as much because he does some freaky things.
That's why I went with Josh over him because I don't think his running and he's not as aggressive as a descender as Josh. Yep. Josh is just reckless, or not reckless, but he just attacks. But Mark's gonna have a great race for sure.
Just being it takes a while to really acclimate completely to altitude, but he's going to be more acclimated than what he would have been from living in like Arlington, Virginia, and flying out to DC after coming in 5th at West Virginia, living there for even, the 4 weeks that he's been there. It's going to give him a little bit more of an advantage that way. His workload and his life load is down aside from the newborn baby, which Brakken did point out he did not push out. So he should be good to go.
No excuses there. Yeah.
I could see him on the podium.
Oh yeah.
Easily could.
We have not named someone yet that I don't think could make a podium.
I would agree. Both sides, both genders.
Oh man. All right. I'm gonna go. Let me see. Jack, you have a insider info picked stashed here. You don't have them on the list. You got something in like your back pocket that you're.
No.
Okay.
I've got my team.
Okay.
I know who I'm picking. If you don't take this person,
all right. I'm taking Lauren Weeks.
You stole my pick. All right.
I like that pick.
Mine.
I still think it's early, but I like the pick regardless.
And this field, it's so open. She got 7th, I think, at Utah, which is unbelievable. She is coming off of High Rocks World Championships not that long ago, which was overseas in a big effort. She was really aggressive at West Virginia, started missing obstacles early. Again, it's not going to be that wet type of condition. I think she'll be able to do fine and she lives at altitude. So I don't know.
Yep. She also texted me and told me that she was trying to figure out if there's a way to do High Rocks Los Angeles the same day after Tahoe, but there's no flight that gets her there soon enough. I'm like, you are an animal.
Now she's just flexing. She's just rubbing it in.
Seriously, breaks the world record by a minute and a half, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna."
That was unbelievable.
Yeah,
that was actually awesome.
Yep. All right, my pick. I'm gonna go Ashley Heller.
Okay, that makes my next pick easier.
All right.
Should we talk about Ashley real quick?
Yeah. I mean, Ashley, I believe she has a 7th or 8th place in the past at Tahoe before, and didn't she just get 4th place?
She was 4th in Asheville and 15th or 16th. That she's been very inconsistent. I know she's had, a tumultuous 2020.
She got up 17th. And down.
Yeah. So I think she's still a year away from where she was previous.
I agree.
In a field like this, she could pop one. She knows Tahoe. So
yep, that was my reasoning. Just the depth. But Brakken, who you got?
I'm starting to get nervous because in my planning this out now, I'm staring at a lot of picks that I would have made week 1 and 2. I'm starting to pick with my heart, and so I think I'm bulletproof with Ryan, with Alex. I think they're going to do well at my top, and so I'm going to go blast from the past, pick with my heart on Angel Quintero.
There you go.
Yeah,
he is one of the more experienced men on this mountain and in the sport. I have no clue what his fitness is like these days, but he always runs well at altitude. He can descend very well, and he never quite put it fully together at Tahoe for Worlds, but he was top 10 several times.
He got 6th one year. He was actually at the top of the climb with Woods, or maybe with Killian. It was one of them, but he was tied for first 45 minutes into the race one time.
And he's such a compact, fast-looking descender.
Yes.
That I just have that seared into my memory of racing that man, watching him turn over down the mountain like he's running a hard 200 on the track. And I'm leading with that memory. Go get him, Angel.
How old is Angel?
Probably early 30s.
30, 32.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Those are both
I will tell you that he actually missed his first ever podium on Mexican soil earlier this year. Never happened before. He wasn't in the same ballpark as VJ when VJ went down there last year. So I don't think he's in prime shape, but he lives at 11,000 feet. So
Jackie said 9.
Yeah.
9. He lives? Can you live at 11,000 feet?
I think he lives at 9.
Is there civilization at 11,000?
He texted me 11,000 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or 3,800 meters, and I just did the conversion. But
he won Monterey earlier this year. So
yes.
It wasn't a incredibly deep field, but he did win a Spartan race this year, and that was only a couple months ago.
They say the last thing to go with a boxer is his knockout power. And I feel that's like altitude mountain running with runners. The last thing to go is your staying power. And altitude's all about staying power. I just feel like he might be ripping it up in the second half of this race.
All right.
Or maybe I lose this. Who knows? But I like him. And that's what matters.
He hasn't been on the podcast though, so you got to get him on. Has he been on the podcast? You got to get him on so you can justify
English
this.
English is absolutely his second language.
Okay.
He can communicate through it, but he's a Spanish speaker, and I would say his English is a little better than my Spanish, and my Spanish is not super passable.
And you couldn't be on a Spanish podcast.
No, not at all.
Well, yeah, I messaged him in Spanish, so that was he definitely does not want to speak English as his first language. Did you develop a software that translates things over somehow? No, I used to be semi-fluent, and I mean Google kind of already took care of that developing software, so that'd be.
So you were slow on that one. Okay.
Yeah. No, I was a little behind Google in that development, but pretty close.
All right.
But all right, next pick. You just took a blast in the past. I'm going with Glenn Race to follow.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
and it makes my job easier because I wanted to pick him, but I also want to stick to my new plan. So I can say I wanted to pick him, and now I.
So here's some trivia for you. There are 7 men with 5+ top 10 finishes at Spartan, and then there are 3 who have 3 top 10s. Glenn is one of them. Can you name the other 2?
Spartan Worlds?
Spartan World Championship, whether it's Killington, Texas, or Tahoe.
the other two people who have 3 top 10s.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, Killian Atkins, Albin, Hobie, Cody, Hunter, and actually Isaiah has 5, which is
Give me Chad
impressive.
Trammell.
Yep. One more.
And we're talking an atypical person.
No, I already got picked today.
Ryan Woods.
Yeah. So, but Glenn is in that small league company. He gets overlooked a ton. When you were mentioning, when you were mentioning Woods as one of the underrated, I didn't want to mention Glenn to plant the seed in people's mind that like he's had success here in the past. But yeah, I think he's probably right behind Woods as one of the most underrated of all time.
Is he older or younger than Woods?
40.
Same age? Younger.
Yeah.
Glenn is as tough as anyone.
Yep.
And this is a course that rewards toughness. And he doesn't, I don't think he has that reputation, but he's an absolute tough man out on course.
I mean, Magida tried to kill him one race and he walked away with that. And didn't he get like a huge cut on he fell down at Tahoe one time, I thought. And
it looked like a shark bit his knee.
Yeah.
You could see to the bone. It was a huge flap. It was jagged like a smile. And he just goes.
Yeah. I'm happy with it. But Rich, you got
so I got Casey on this pick, right?
Yep.
Coming back around, man. I'm gonna go this female field. I'm looking at the men's side, and like I feel like all of these guys that we know are gonna be there are all kind of could potentially finish in the same place. On the female side, I don't know. So I'm gonna take Alicia Kuker here.
All right.
I like it.
She had a good finish.
She's got a good season so far.
She had a good season so far. She doesn't. I know she's been eyeing this race up. She didn't have a particular strong finish in Utah. I think she was like 14th or 15th. But then her next race out was Asheville, where she got like 5th or 6th or something.
She was pretty high.
Was it that
up
high?
There, yeah.
Or was it 9th? Something. She finished really well there. So
yeah.
she's figuring it out. And with a field that's wide open, she might stick her nose in there and score me some points.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm going to take the strongest remaining woman out there, Natalie Miano, for my next pick.
Yeah. Well, it makes my job easier, I guess.
We're making your job easy, Bracken.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Taylor Turney.
Okay.
And Lucas Klinker.
Nice.
Sorry, wait. I'm taking a Klinker. Which Klinker won in Ohio? Jacob
I
Klinker?
heard Lucas. I already wrote him down. You can't
Jacob Klinker?
What's the best? There's like you have
there's
4
also
to 5
like
options.
Andrew Klinker as well.
I want the Klinker that just put me into the ground.
Is that this one?
I thought it was Jacob. Give me Jacob Klinker. Lucas, you're a nice guy.
I'm nice because
there are 2.
I wrote that down.
Okay.
Oh, well, thank you for being so nice and accommodating.
All good, yeah. No,
and a bit presumptuous claiming that typing is writing.
Yeah. No, Jacob, solid pick. You saw what he did in person. Let's give the audience a little info.
He's a guy that I would consider the chase pack, middle of the chase pack guy in the past, who's now moved up to bridging that gap. And he's now out in Boulder and has been long enough that he's semi-acclimated, as acclimated as you can be with not living there long-term. And so I saw what he could do at an hour 40 into a 2-hour race. He was making surges and now he's got some altitude acclimation. So of the people remaining on here, he's someone that I've seen firsthand very recently and I know he's fit. So I got to go with him.
I like it. I think it makes sense. He's been, there was time, I don't know, like I might be confusing the Klinkers now, but I think that there was in the past, they had been more kind of like cherry picking podiums in previous years. So you'd see them not necessarily on Saturday races, you see them a lot on Sunday races. They'd race very often, but maybe not big races. But Jacob Klinker showed up and he's done well this year, top 10 in the last race. He's really bringing it and he shows up and he was racing to win these races that he does show up at too. So
yeah,
he's the tall guy, right? So
yeah,
he's very tall.
He looks the part.
Yeah,
he is tall. He's muscular, but very lean. He just he's like a slightly more muscular VJ Jones look.
Okay.
He's got that long, lean. He looks the part. He looks like someone that's going to be dangerous, and now his fitness is there too.
So like Rich, basically.
He's taller than me, right?
Yeah,
about
he's just kind
6'3".
of
VJ's like 6'3",
Thanks, bro.
but,
VJ's 6'3"?
Yeah, I think
What?
I'm 6'1", and he's got probably an inch or two on me. So,
and Taylor Turney, like we mentioned his descents earlier.
he descended faster than Max King and Killian Jornet at Mount Marathon in the past. Like,
I must say though, I find myself with Taylor often in races, and I did beat him to the bottom of Tahoe in 2019, and my descending is poorish. It's getting better.
It's a good reminder that certain skills are not accessible at certain points of certain races.
Yeah,
good point. Yeah,
and Tahoe is one of those that can remove your descents real quickly with a swim or an obstacle.
Mm-hmm. Double sandbag.
45 to 50-minute race, descending for 11 or 12 minutes at the end of that is different than climbing for an hour and a half and then having to do it. Like,
knowing that you don't have to do anything at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know every single one of us could get to the bottom of any of these descents much faster if we didn't have to use any piece of our body once we got to the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's not knocking him. I picked him. I believe in him. But yeah, descending is a sliding scale.
I agree with that. All right. With my pick, I'm torn between two people, but after what he did in Seattle, I'm going to go Josh Fry.
Yeah, I like Josh.
Yeah, very underrated, always in the Pacific Northwest, contender up there. But he was hanging with Nick Mosk, who is like ridiculously fit. For people who don't know that name, you should definitely get used to it. And he was right up there with Chris Brown. Did he actually end up beating Chris? He beat him. Yeah.
I don't know the story.
Not in the Beast.
Beat him in the sprint.
In the sprint or the super or whatever they had.
Okay.
It was a
trifecta. He was hanging with some really fast people, and the three of them, I heard the podcast recap, and Josh is very fit according to the racers who you interviewed.
Yeah, good pick. I was definitely going to eye him up if I had to come back. Shoot. Okay.
Rich, you got back to back.
I got back to back. I'm going to take Vince Pakowski here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure to go him or Josh, but I think because of experience, I went with Josh. But
yeah, very much an unknown quantity. What am I thinking here? Commodity. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking with it. But Vince, member of Torque, so I know him well. I know his training's going well. But he's only done maybe 3 or 4 Spartan races. He hasn't done anyone at altitude, but he lives at altitude now.
Mm-hmm.
He's as good of a runner as anyone in the field. And
really?
Yeah,
he's
that?
He's that strong, huh?
Yeah. Like I think he
was a 31-minute 10K guy or something in college. Like, yeah,
I think his 5K was 14.
Oh, that's right.
14, 15. He's a Midwest guy. Yeah. He ran at one of the Milwaukee schools. But post collegiate, he ran 14, 15. He was the winner of the best ranger competition this year with his partner, Alistair Keys, which Robert Killian has famously won. So he has the grit. This course is not what he's poor at is terrain, like anything terrain based. He just doesn't have that skill yet. There's not a lot of that in this race. He's confident. He's going to stick his nose in it.
Doesn't he live in Arizona in like a dry, high altitude environment also?
Yeah, he's above 5,000. I think he's like, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. So he's okay in Seattle. He put his nose in. He ended up 4th right behind Josh.
I don't think that he has the same like the ceiling as Emma Cook Clark at this race, but like 2 unknown commodities for the most part who could break off a really good performance. I think Vince is probably the male equivalent
on the men's side. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like he might be somebody like, oh my God, he got 6. Like who is this person? Like, yeah. So I could see that for sure.
Yep. All right. And then you get one more pick.
I think there's an obvious pick here.
Who says what? Your old strategy or your new strategy? Which one makes
maybe not obvious? There's an obvious of one of the genders. Maybe not obvious. I'm just surprised that this person's still around.
So on Jack, on your other list, you had a name that you don't have on here. How much on the list of like the roster do you think should we even bother with that, or should
what do you mean?
Like the
roster? The dashes, like I think those are just auto registered by Spartan. I just put them there for full clarity. I just didn't want to pretend that I knew more info than anybody else. But those are just simply the people who were listed on Athlinks. So if you want to take someone there, go for it by all means.
I mean, Ashley O'Hare was on there.
Yes.
I can't imagine she's being.
Oh no. She was not on the roster. She's literally the only person. I messaged her right before I ended up hopping on this call because I wanted a reminder. But no, she is not on the official Tahoe thing. She messaged me after West Virginia, and she said that it all depends on what Ryan Kempson, her coach, wanted her to do. So I have no info on where she's actually going to show up.
If it makes your decision easier, my last pick is someone that isn't on it either. So I'm just rolling some dice.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah, give me her anyway. I show her. We're not sure. She could come and do well. I think she was a ninth at Utah. Had a good season. It was top. It was like fifth or sixth in Jacksonville. So she could show out and do well. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm now officially into winging it territory.
Back to back.
Jack, you had your keeper here.
Yes, I
Jamie.
had Jamie Brusa.
And it's worth noting for Jamie. Jamie was like in 6th or 7th in Tahoe in 2019, but the Stairway to Sparta that was at the top of the second climb, she's legitimately 5 feet tall, and it was just like not happening that day for her.
She said that on your podcast in the past.
Yeah.
You can't teach height. So
no. But she's fit.
I love that phrase.
Yeah. It's so true.
I have all my men already. So
you're 5 and 2. Yep.
Oh man.
I would choose John Howard. I'm surprised he's still here. But I'm going to take Callie and Faye.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Do you have a preference on potential keepers? Your 9th round pick or 8th round pick?
Let's just put them in that order. Callie and Faye.
Okay.
So we're not sure.
We're
not sure about either of these athletes.
Correct. I fully
if they're coming or not.
That neither may race.
Yeah.
But the upside is big for both of them. Callie just won Killington, beat Emmy Cross and on a beast. No, she won the beast.
She won the. Oh, I thought she got second at the beast. Or Chikorita was in that race and like someone else, but maybe
Chikorita was in the Ultra Beast.
Okay, then she came back for the sprint also, which is crazy in its own. But yeah,
so I'm pretty sure Callie won the Killington Beast, which after she got like 31st or something in West Virginia. So like those two things don't add up. And to beat Emmy, who was 6th, a lot of things could happen during races, but like she has more ability right now than what her results have shown. So and she lives at altitude. If she puts one together, she could crack top 10 for sure.
Absolutely. Yep. That's my exact thoughts.
She also likes the cold, which if it's cooler, that's good news for Callie.
Yeah, and she seems to be someone that just kind of responds right when you think she's not going to.
Yeah.
Like when people were thinking, we're going to write her off for High Rocks U.S. National Championships, and all of a sudden, boom, nails the race. And then she has a West Virginia that's not really like what you'd expect. And you're like, well, maybe this is what's going to happen next. Boom, nails Killington. So I'm hoping that she's riding high, returning to altitude, returning to weather being a variable. My only qualm is that I've done Killington Tahoe back to back along with Kempson and Rhea, and none of us had good races.
That's a tough double. It really is.
And
like
this was a 40-minute longer year than in the past.
Oh yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, what did it get? What did the Beast get? Like 6,000 feet or something?
Yeah.
What are they
stupid?
What are they doing out there? they deliver with that course. That's one thing Spartan doesn't shy away from. They bring it with Killington.
Yeah, no doubt.
And Faye Morgan is Faye Morgan.
She shows up. She's probably about 10th or 12th.
Yeah, and she could be higher.
Yeah,
I see her as a 6th through 12th person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way
tough.
she raced at Utah, her foot injury, it isn't new. Like I think she had this and when she was racing earlier in the year too. I think this is something she's been dealing with. This like broken bone in her foot. I just don't think it's ever really healed. So she's probably been running through pain for a lot of it. So if it feels even a little bit better, she's gonna do well.
Yep. All right. My pick, I'm gonna go with Forrest Bogue because everyone's going on a limb. He's dealing with sciatic nerve issues. He said he's probably not going to race, but if he does, could be a very, very good value pick in round 9.
Yeah. Rich isn't happy about that.
Not happy about this. I don't like this third spot. This spot stinks.
Yeah.
Jack,
Who are you going to take Forrest?
Forrest was one tire flip away from. Now, I don't think he would have kept the position he was in, but a top 5 or 6 performance at a world championship in Tahoe.
He got 10th that year, I believe.
Now, he was really, really working and fit that year. But he's pretty fit this year, too, in a different way, in a much different way. But I like the pick. If he's there, he's a factor.
He's one of those people on the start, like you see him on the start line, doesn't matter what the distance, you're like, he's going to just fight it out. Be tough to beat.
Yeah. I like getting 10th. I mean, that's like an all-time race for him, but if you don't get there on accident, like a 10th place at a world championship. And I didn't realize he missed the tire late in that race. Is that what happened?
He was in 3rd at that point, I think.
He was leading the thing, right?
Someone was just catching him.
They kept calling him Josh McDougall and
McAdams.
McAdams. Yeah.
Where was the tire that year?
Down at the bottom before you did the second.
Oh, before the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Still tough. And he got 8th in Utah, off of like
that was still 9-10 miles into a world championship race, and he had minutes on 6th and 7th.
Yep. Definitely.
You can't fake that. In my best fitness at all my world championships, if I decided to beat people to the bottom, I couldn't. If my race ended at mile 9, I couldn't have got there where he got there.
Yeah.
At altitude, you can't fake it.
Definitely.
All right. So I'm up.
Rich,
so this guy was on the
gender-wise, you've got 2 guys left.
Dudes. So this guy was on one of the lists that you sent out, but it's someone who I do personally know. I was going to save him for wildcard because he was on a list, but I don't know. I'm taking Digger Lauder here.
Yeah. He's on the list of the potential just signed up. He's a great runner.
Fantastic runner. He ran 15:20 something last year. He's but has never done a race at altitude. And he also he's similar to Vince, where like the terrain pieces might beat him up a little bit, or if like sprint style races aren't great for him just because the compromised running isn't quite there yet. But right now I know his fitness is really, really strong. And it's just going to be about putting it together on race day and seeing what it's like at altitude and just kind of sticking his nose in it. He can climb. His descents are going to be serviceable. And I think he's going to be someone else that maybe like, oh, wow, he's like 8th, 9th, 10th, where it's like, oh, like who is this name here? So I'm taking him.
All right. Who else?
Oh, I have another one. Oh, my goodness.
Back to back.
Then I'll go John Howard.
How do you not choose Montgomery Chamberlain just on the name?
Yeah.
That's a ballin' ass name. Why is he a maybe?
He was on the list, and he said he's doing Telluride, and he's considering doing Tahoe. So
John Howard right here might be the biggest value pick of the people we know are going.
I have had so many close battles with John Howard, like over the past couple of years.
Maybe he's not as good as I thought.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that's why I haven't picked him, because
roasted.
Yeah. No, he's a solid. You get what you get. He's usually probably gonna be like 15th to 20th at U.S. National Series races, and it's just super consistent. So all right,
I'll take him.
My pick, dude. I'm gonna go guy from Colorado, Max Raymond. He's always focused on ultras, but he's improved a ton since he moved to Colorado. He has a few podiums over the past couple of years as well. I think he actually won like the Carolina Ultra or something like that a couple of years ago, and he's been pretty competitive as some of the other ones. Not great foot speed, but he's tough, and he's used to having a lot of time on feet. Lives in the mountains, so I'm going with Max.
Raymond, huh? Yeah, I guess it's a complicated way to spell that.
All right, so are we on the wild cards?
You have a female left.
Brakken,
I have to pick a female first.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to do.
Sorry, my screen for some reason decided to do that. Good.
Zamora Zarate.
Do you know anything about her?
I like her last name.
Sweet last name. Okay. Jack, tell us about her, because I am in the
see her all
same
the time
camp as Brakken.
I see her all the time in races in Texas. So I believe that she's usually in like 3rd to 5th or so. For like when Alex Walker and Chris Pakowski show up, she's not the same territory, but she definitely races a lot of the Texas races and stuff. And I think she's done some races it was either like South America or Mexico. I've seen her results there as well, but she was pretty solid. I think she was in the 10 to 15 range for Utah. So good pick.
I did my research. What can I say?
Yeah, no, you can almost pronounce her name too, but yeah.
What do you mean almost?
Almost. Okay,
what did I say wrong?
Huh? Oh, you were just being a little exaggerated on the accent. So
Jack, when you see words, does like your brain immediately break it out into the phonetics so you can actually see it? Or is that how you see words? Like I feel like you see numbers in spreadsheets, you see words in phonetics.
No, it's just all these characters just popping up, and I'm like, all right, that's how you spell it now. Hey, I was actually 6th in Massachusetts in the spelling bee back in 5th grade overall. So that guy who's like, can I have a language of origin and a definition? Like I actually can relate to that a little bit. Like I do break out words a little bit like that. So spelling is my forte.
It's pretty good.
I would listen to a Massachusetts spelling bee.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. That would be actually pretty hilarious. I don't really have the accent anymore, but some of my friends, pretty thick.
Define it. Car. Hide your body in a car.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Wild card. Are you ready?
Wild card, baby.
Wild card.
Rylan Shottegg.
You think he's showing up?
No. But if he does, he's top 3 automatically.
Yeah.
Yep. Is he out of a boot? Has he been in a boot? What do you do for a broken? Was it calcaneus that he broke?
Ask Kurt.
I think it was calcaneus.
Broke his heel. What do you do for something like that?
He's sesamoid. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know. I thought he posted a couple days ago. He's like, "Oh, the smart thing to do is not to race." But I could totally see what you're saying.
But I have no inside information. It's just he's too good to leave him out there if he shows up.
Yeah,
he's my Emmy Cross if he shows up.
Yeah,
except maybe even on a higher level. Not maybe. He's been top 3 at a national series race in the mountains at altitude. He's made for this
within the past 2 months. So
yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna put Johnny Luna Lima. Nicole said he was not racing, but if he shows up, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, this is we're naming the potential podium of a normal world championship right here.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm just gonna take Cody Moat just to round this thing out.
Yeah. Hey, or John Alvin.
Yeah. Take John Alvin here. I'm going
Montgomery Chamberlain.
Do it.
Feel like I'm gonna take Hannah Carter.
Hannah Carter.
All right.
I like it.
Hannah Carter.
Yeah. She's had a really solid season. I don't know how to define like most improved necessarily. Because I think Annie Doobie's clearly gonna win that one, but Hannah Carter has stepped it up this year.
I was thinking we should have a show like that when this is all over, just do awards.
Yeah. Rookie of the year.
Yeah. Breakout performance. It could be like the ESPYs, race of the year.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
We'll come with topics, and then we'll debate who wins, and then we'll have a winner.
Yeah. I like it.
All right. Team's complete.
Right.
Let's go.
Want to do a recap on the team? Number 1 pick, Brakken. Let's look at who you had for your team. Here you go. So you started off Ryan Atkins, Ariel Fitzgerald. Pretty no-brainer picks for your 1st and 6th. Mark Batres, Alex Walker was your keeper. Angel Quintero, Taylor Turney, Jacob Klinker, Callie Schweikart, and Faye Morgan potentially might not be racing, but if they do, great picks. Isabel Zamora Zarate as your final female, and then Rylan Shottegg as your wild card. So
I knew I had the crutch of Alex Walker coming in.
Yes.
And so that obviously steered how I was going to draft. And so I think that I have 4 I can count on in any season, any storm, any version of this course. I think there are 4 who are going to be solid scorers for me. And then all I need is just 1 or 2 of the others to step up.
And it could be Angel very easily. Could be Jacob based on the role he's been doing this year. You're going to have some people step up, but you've got a very solid top-heavy team.
West Virginia, I looked at my roster and I thought, I'm probably going to win this. I knew I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I knew like I had all these people in place that as long as they took care of business, I was fine. This one, I know I'm top heavy and I know I need some help, but I'm confident that someone in the supporting cast can be that help.
Yes. Yeah. No one's going to bomb and suddenly be like 20th as your final scorer.
I'm less arrogant about my team this week, but I'm confident that we're going to be in the mix.
Yep.
The scores, when it shakes out, they're going to be higher for the winning score. I think we've been in like the mid 30s,
37 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. For most of the winning, it takes like, 35, 36, 37 to win. I think that there's going to be some people in this mix that we don't know. There's going to be some surprise performances. I wouldn't be surprised if the winner ends up like 4, like if we're rounding out with someone who finished like in 11th or 12th or something like that for wins.
I have a feeling that there are going to be people who show up where that we're just not aware of.
Yeah. That really screws the show up. I really wish they would let us know.
He showed up unexpectedly at West Virginia. He is racing the Xterra U.S. Championship this weekend. I highly, highly doubt he's going to be in Tahoe the same day.
Last time you said he was like riding his bike across the country or something.
No, he was hosting a cross-country meet for his kids. Like he was organizing it or something, and then he's just like, "Nah, screw you, kids."
Next weekend.
Yeah. Okay. So you said the words cross country, but it was much less of a demand than a cross country bike ride.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So that's Brakken's team. I guess we'll go to me because I was the second pick. At the top, I've got a pretty boomer bust team. Not too many that stick out name wise, but I think a few people are going to sneak up and have really good performances. Annie Doobie, as reliable as it gets on the women's side, and then Emma Cook-Clark could easily win it, in my opinion. Or she could get 12th, depending on what happens. But I think her running, she's probably the best runner in the field for the women's side. Josh Riedinger for the men, I think he's going to have a stellar performance. You were pretty bummed about me taking him, Rich.
And I was bummed about you taking Annie as well.
Yeah. Ashley Heller she's been inconsistent. She's had a 4th this year. She had a 17th in West Virginia. Like you don't know where you're going to get. I hope this is the time where she bounces back, but I've got a lot of faith in her. Glenn Race, super underrated, always perform well at Tahoe. Natalie Miano, hope she can put things together. Josh Fry's super fit. Jamie Brusa, probably going to finish in that 10th to 12th range because that's her number. Forrest Bogue, if he's healthy, it was worth taking a flyer on him in round 9. Max Riemann, same deal. Really good ultra runner. Lives in Colorado, so you can run the mountains. And if Johnny shows up, that's the best wild card pick of all time.
Except that he's never beaten Rylan, my wild card pick.
That's a really good point. Yeah, literally, he can't. He's 0 for lifetime.
0 for lifetime. 0-1.
Yeah. Is he just concentrating on trail running? Is that what's?
I don't know.
And that's what Tahoe
haven't
is.
Heard much. Yeah. I mean, that's what OCR is.
I would say Jack has the least amount of historical performances top 10 at this course on his team. But he has
just Forrest, right? Or an Ashley.
Ashley Heller.
Glenn.
What did Glenn?
Yeah, definitely Glenn. That's the trivia question. He's got 3 top 10s.
So 3. You have 3, but you have But you have many people who are ready for that leap.
Yes. Annie, I'm comfortable saying she should get top 10 this race.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm ready for that.
I very much hope that is the case.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention during your trivia, but like you guys were hashing out the trivia. I was over here pulling my hair out about who I was going to pick, and you had Josh. That was your 3rd pick.
It was. The only reason I picked him there was because I didn't think that it would come back to me.
You didn't have a dude at that point, right?
That's correct. And I feel like in this particular race, it was better to get higher performing potential women than men, just because the guy who finishes 10th could also get 5th. Yeah. And I feel like you have a little bit more of a lock on the women's side for a little bit of separation between the top pack and then the next pack in terms of where they'll probably finish.
I think that's fair. Fair.
Yep. So I don't have the star power, but I think I've got a pretty good team who can, put it together for me. Rich, let's take a look at yours.
Let's look at this team.
Does no one have Joshua Reed?
I do. That's Josh Riedinger.
Yeah.
I totally blanked over on that.
Yeah, he He does this thing where he like change. I'm pretty sure he was on the pro.
Joshua,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was on the pro team this past year because he like spells his name different, and like when he enters races, like sometimes he puts like dashes and breaks out Joshua and like shortens Reed. His name's Riedinger, and it's different in a bunch of places.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know who he is, but his name is Joshua Riedinger.
I didn't even see his name when I read over Riedinger. I never saw Josh Reed in there.
Yeah.
Probably what he's going for.
Kind of, and he's right. Like he says, oh, well, if you search Josh Riedinger, a bunch of people like, or Josh Reed, like a bunch of people show up. But if you search JA space Shua, he pops up on Google, and it's true. I've tried it, so he's I guess it's a branding thing, but it's confusing.
I bet it's working out for him.
It's a bit confusing, but he'll do great.
Rich has a good team.
Thank you. So. My guys are Woods, Mark Gaudette, Vince Pakowski, Digger Lauder, and John Howard. The female side is Rhea Coble, Casey Monroe, Lauren Weeks, Alicia Kuker, Ashley O'Hara, we're not sure, and Hannah Carta. Again, we're not sure if they're showing up. So
yeah,
I feel good. I mean, I feel good about 5 solid, right? Like so Woods, Mark Gaudette, Rhea, Casey, Lauren Weeks, I think will all be in the top 6 or 7.
Yeah, top 5 mix for sure.
Top 5 in the mix for that for sure. Then the wild cards like Vince and a Digger, who could really be boom or bust. Like they could be someone who comes in 5th or 6th, or they're 16th, 17th, and it pulls the score down. Alicia Kuker, same deal. Like she might be 10th, she might be 25th. Like I'm not sure.
That's why you score 7 deep, so you can have
Has anyone won 2 in a row yet?
No.
No, we've had a different winner every time.
You ladies want a little side bet that I'm going to win 2 in a row here?
What's the side bet?
Yeah.
I don't know. You want in on some sort of action?
I'll get down with some action.
Okay. I will bet you 15 of my cumulative tiebreaker points that I go double or nothing.
So you take my tiebreak. You take my points. If this. Let me think, Jack. What do you think about that? Think about what you are in need. You are in need of tiebreaker points. I don't need tiebreaker points.
That's what you think. Yeah.
You were only halfway through the season.
Yeah, Rich. I didn't need tiebreaker points until last race when everyone didn't show up, like Kirk and Miriam and stuff. And it could easily happen to you where you're suddenly your 5th and 6th and 7th scorers are in the 20s. Like,
and I'm willing to do this towards both of you, so it could be a 30-point swing.
30 swing. So
I don't need it.
Literally the only thing that you need to happen, like if you go 1-1 or 0-2, you lose it.
I'm done. I'll lose 30 points if I don't win.
I'll do a 15-point swing with you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But you have to go 2-0. If you're 1-1 or 0-2.
That I win over. Wait, what are you saying?
I'm confused on your wording for.
Oh yeah, I'm going to win outright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So if you go 1-1 or 0-2, I get your 15 points. You have to beat head-to-head Rich and beat me head-to-head in order to.
That's what winning overall means.
Okay.
Jack.
Yeah. I'm defining the rules just because jumping over a mud pit somehow gets complicated in the rule book. I just wanted to clearly define it.
Yeah.
I would need odds. I would need like 15 to 25 for like that would benefit you more than it would benefit me because I already don't need the lack of points where you might need them.
Rich, the way that I see it is it's a 2 in 3 chance he doesn't win it, most likely.
I don't need the points.
Okay.
And
all right.
Jack's on
digital handshake.
So, 15-point potential swing, or 30, I guess, technically, because I go higher, 15, you go lower, 15, whatever.
Virtual handshakes, like writing it in blood. Can't take that back.
No, that's we have it on video. So
I'm just feeling good about my squad.
Yeah.